Scientists at the University of Waterloo have created microscopic robots that swim through your urinary tract to dissolve kidney stones from the inside. These aren't prototypes gathering dust in a lab. They've successfully navigated 3D printed human anatomy and dissolved stone analogs by 30% in 5 days. This breakthrough could eliminate the need for shockwave treatments and surgical procedures that leave millions of patients in pain every year. Welcome to Curiosity AI Podcast, Episode 19. Today, we're examining a medical innovation that transforms how we think about treating one of the most painful conditions known to medicine. Kidney stones affect over 12% of the global population. If you've never experienced them, imagine trying to pass razor-sharp gravel through the most sensitive parts of your anatomy. Current treatments involve either blasting stones with shockwaves or surgical removal, both carrying significant risks and recovery periods. The University of Waterloo research team, led by Dr. Veronica Magdans, has developed something fundamentally different. Instead of destroying kidney stones from the outside, their magnetic micro-robots dissolve them from within, using targeted enzyme therapy. Published in Advanced Healthcare Materials this July, their research represents a convergence of robotics, materials science, and biotechnology. We're not talking about science fiction concepts. These robots have demonstrated successful navigation and therapeutic action in anatomically accurate models. The implications extend beyond kidney stones to the entire field of targeted medical intervention. We're potentially looking at a future where microscopic robots deliver precise treatments directly to disease sites without affecting healthy tissue. Let's explore how this technology works, why it matters, and what obstacles remain before these micro-robots start swimming through human patients. The robots themselves are marvels of miniaturization. Picture flexible strips resembling tiny pieces of spaghetti, measuring just 1 by 1 by 12 millimeters. Each robot consists of a gelatin-based hydrogel polymer embedded with micromagnets and loaded with Urease enzyme. The choice of materials reflects careful engineering considerations. Gelatin provides biocompatibility while maintaining structural flexibility needed for navigation through narrow urinary passages. The embedded micromagnets, ranging from 0.5 to 0.7 of a millimeter, enable external control without requiring internal power sources. The Urease enzyme serves as the therapeutic payload. This naturally occurring catalyst breaks down urea present in human urine, producing ammonia and carbon dioxide. The chemical reaction increases local pH from typical stone-forming levels around 6.0 to more alkaline conditions of 7.2. This pH change specifically targets uric acid kidney stones, causing them to dissolve naturally. Unlike mechanical fragmentation that creates sharp debris, enzymatic dissolution produces materials the body can eliminate safely. The navigation system combines external magnetic control with real-time ultrasound imaging. A motorized magnet mounted on a robotic arm manipulates the embedded micromagnets, while ultrasound provides precise positioning feedback. This dual control mechanism enables clinicians to guide tetherless robots through complex anatomical pathways with millimeter accuracy. Think of it as remote-controlled surgery at the microscopic level, where the surgeon navigates robots through your body using magnetic fields and ultrasound visualization. The proof-of-concept testing occurred in 3D-printed life-size models of human urinary tracts filled with synthetic urine. These weren't simplified approximations, but anatomically accurate reproductions, including the complex curves and narrow passages robots would encounter in real patients. The results exceeded expectations. Robots successfully navigated to target locations and maintained therapeutic enzyme activity throughout the testing period. Most significantly, kidney stone analogs lost an average of 30% of their weight over 5 days. This weight reduction represents the threshold for natural stone passage. Stones reduced by 30% typically become small enough for the body to eliminate without the excruciating pain associated with larger stones. The pH changes induced by the robots remained stable for up to 3 months in laboratory conditions. This duration far exceeds traditional oral alkalinization therapies, which often fail due to patient compliance issues and systemic side effects. However, we must distinguish between laboratory success and clinical reality. Controlled environments with synthetic urine and static models cannot replicate the dynamic conditions within living human anatomy. Real patients present challenges including fluid flow, peristaltic contractions, individual anatomical variations, and immune responses. The transition from laboratory models to animal testing represents a critical validation phase that will determine the technology's true viability. The Waterloo technology enters a crowded field of kidney stone innovations, each targeting different aspects of this persistent medical challenge. The University of Washington has developed burst-wave lithotripsy and ultrasonic propulsion systems with randomized clinical trial data showing effectiveness in stone fragmentation and movement. These competing technologies target broader stone types and have advanced further in clinical validation. Other research groups at institutions like Zurich and Columbia University are developing magnetically controlled micro-robots for various medical applications. Caltech researchers have successfully demonstrated acoustic micro-robots for bladder tumor treatment in living models, proving the general feasibility of micro-robotic medical interventions. The global kidney stone management market, valued at $2.55 billion in 2024 and projected to reach $4 billion by 2034, demonstrates substantial commercial potential. However, the Waterloo technology specifically targets uric acid stones, which represent only 5 to 10% of all kidney stone cases. This market limitation reflects both opportunity and constraint. While the addressable population is smaller, uric acid stone patients often struggle with traditional treatments, creating a defined clinical niche for innovative solutions. Current treatments show variable success rates. Extracorporeal shock-wave lithotripsy achieves stone-free rates ranging from 30 to 90%, depending on stone characteristics and patient anatomy. Multiple sessions are often required, and complications include tissue damage and incomplete fragmentation. The transition from laboratory success to clinical application faces several critical hurdles that deserve honest examination. Biocompatibility remains the primary concern. While gelatin-based hydrogels demonstrate excellent biocompatibility in most applications, the long-term interaction between embedded magnets and urinary tract tissues requires thorough evaluation in living systems. The magnetic materials must maintain their properties while avoiding corrosion or particle shedding. Any degradation could create inflammatory responses or tissue damage not observable in synthetic testing environments. Navigation precision presents perhaps the greatest technical challenge. Guiding millimeter-scale robots through the tortuous anatomy of ureters and kidney calyces while contending with fluid dynamics and peristaltic motion requires sophisticated control algorithms and real-time feedback systems. The research team acknowledges ongoing work to refine these control mechanisms before advancing to animal studies. This honest assessment of remaining technical challenges demonstrates appropriate scientific caution rather than premature optimism. Manufacturing scalability poses additional obstacles. Current laboratory methods using 3D printed molds cannot support commercial scale requirements. Industrial manufacturing processes must maintain precise dimensions, magnet placement, and enzyme concentration while achieving cost-effective production volumes. Safety considerations extend to magnetic field exposure. While the research team has not disclosed specific field strengths, similar micro-robotic systems operate safely at levels around 5 millitesla, well below established medical exposure limits. However, patients with existing ferromagnetic implants such as surgical clips or stents could experience complications from magnetic field exposure during treatment. The research team has announced large animal studies as their next development phase, with no published results from living biological systems yet available. This represents the critical milestone that will determine whether laboratory success translates to biological reality. Following successful animal validation, the pathway to human clinical trials would require regulatory approval from agencies like the FDA or Health Canada. The classification would likely involve either a 510(k) submission claiming substantial equivalence to existing magnetic navigation systems or a de novo classification for novel medical devices. Realistic commercialization timelines for novel medical devices typically span 5 to 10 years from successful preclinical data to market approval. This duration reflects the complexity of safety validation, clinical trial phases, and regulatory review processes. The absence of announced commercial partnerships suggests the technology remains in the grant-funded, university-led research phase rather than commercial development. A transition to industry partnerships would indicate technological maturity and readiness for clinical translation. Investment considerations must weigh innovation potential against substantial development risks and lengthy commercialization timelines. The narrow therapeutic scope targeting only uric acid stones may actually facilitate regulatory approval by addressing a specific patient population with demonstrated treatment challenges. The patient experience represents a crucial differentiator for micro-robot therapy compared to existing treatments. Traditional kidney stone interventions often involve significant pain during both the procedure and recovery period. Shockwave lithotripsy, while non-invasive, frequently causes discomfort during treatment and subsequent pain as fragments pass through the urinary tract. Ureteroscopic procedures require general anesthesia and direct instrumentation, leading to post-operative pain and recovery periods spanning several days to weeks. The micro-robot approach promises a fundamentally different experience. The minimally invasive catheter-based delivery system could potentially be performed under local anesthesia or conscious sedation. The targeted enzymatic dissolution mechanism aims to reduce stone size gradually, potentially minimizing traumatic fragment passage. However, patient acceptance of robotic medical interventions varies considerably. Some patients may experience anxiety about having autonomous devices within their bodies, even temporarily. Clear communication about biocompatible materials, natural elimination pathways, and safety monitoring becomes essential for treatment acceptance. Healthcare system integration presents its own challenges. The technology requires specialized magnetic navigation equipment, ultrasound imaging systems, and physician training programs. Initial implementation costs could be substantial, requiring careful economic analysis to justify adoption. Insurance reimbursement represents a significant market access challenge. Novel medical devices typically enter under Category 3 CPT codes with limited reimbursement while evidence generation occurs. The transition to routine coverage requires demonstration of clinical superiority and cost-effectiveness through randomized trials. The broader implications of this research extend beyond kidney stones to the entire field of targeted medical intervention. The successful demonstration of magnetically guided therapeutic delivery opens possibilities for treating various conditions requiring localized treatment. Similar micro-robotic platforms could potentially deliver chemotherapy directly to tumor sites, antibiotics to infection locations, or anti-inflammatory agents to specific tissue areas. The combination of precise navigation and targeted therapy represents a paradigm shift from systemic treatments affecting entire body systems. The convergence of robotics, biotechnology, and materials science demonstrated in this research reflects broader trends in medical innovation. As these fields continue advancing, we can expect increasingly sophisticated solutions to persistent healthcare challenges. However, each application requires extensive validation and regulatory approval. The pathway from successful laboratory demonstration to clinical reality remains lengthy and expensive, requiring sustained investment and commitment from research institutions and commercial partners. The University of Waterloo team's measured approach, emphasizing thorough preclinical validation before advancing to human studies, demonstrates appropriate scientific rigor. This methodology contrasts with overly optimistic timelines, sometimes associated with early-stage medical technologies. The University of Waterloo's magnetic micro-robots represent genuine innovation in addressing a persistent medical challenge. The technology's targeted mechanism and minimally invasive delivery method offer clear advantages for appropriate patient populations. However, significant obstacles remain before clinical application becomes reality. The transition from laboratory models to living biological systems, manufacturing scalability, regulatory approval, and healthcare system integration all require successful navigation. The 5 to 10-year timeline for potential clinical availability, while lengthy, reflects appropriate caution required for novel medical devices. Premature advancement to human testing without thorough animal validation could compromise patient safety and technology development. For patients suffering from recurrent uric acid kidney stones, this research offers hope for future treatment options that prioritize precision over invasiveness. The broader implications for targeted medical robotics suggest we're approaching an era where therapeutic interventions become increasingly precise and less disruptive to healthy tissues. The success of this technology will ultimately depend on demonstrating safety and efficacy in living systems, followed by careful progression through clinical trials and regulatory approval processes. As medical robotics continues evolving alongside genetic engineering and artificial intelligence, targeted intracorporeal interventions may become increasingly viable alternatives to systemic treatments or invasive surgical procedures. Thanks for joining us on episode 19 of Curiosity AI Podcast. If this exploration of medical robotics and targeted therapy innovation captured your interest, make sure to subscribe for more analysis of scientific breakthroughs quietly reshaping healthcare delivery. Until next time, remember that the future of medicine is being measured in millimeters, not incisions, as precision replaces invasiveness in treating human disease.